Welcome back to On the L, where strategy meets accountability and leaders learn what it truly takes to elevate. Today, I want to talk about a recent comment made on CNN by Tim Parrish that raised an important economic conversation. He referenced his mother working three jobs and suggested that if people do not like wage disparities or executive compensation, well, they should build their own business. And while I understand the broader point he was attempting to make about ownership and entrepreneurship, I believe that perspective oversimplifies the economic realities many people and businesses face. Because what stood out to me most was this: his story about his mother working three jobs was framed, in my opinion, as a badge of work ethic. But from an economic standpoint, I think we need to ask a harder question. Should working three jobs be viewed as success? Because from a labor and business perspective, a person needing to have three jobs to maintain stability is not necessarily evidence of economic health. It may instead reflect wage compression, rising costs, labor market strain, or a mismatch between earnings and living expenses. That is not a political statement. That is an economic observation. So, you know what I tell you to do? Grab your notebook, pen or pencil, and get ready to take notes so you can elevate as a leader. So, when we talk about hard work and economic efficiency, those are not the same thing. Working multiple jobs may reflect discipline, resilience, sacrifice, and an exceptional work ethic. But economically, needing excessive labor hours to maintain baseline stability is not an efficient labor outcome. The goal of a healthy economy is not simply that people work hard, it is that the labor creates sufficient value to support sustainable living and upward mobility. When people must work extraordinary hours simply to maintain basic stability, that raises broader questions about labor economics and compensation structures. Entrepreneurship is valuable, but not a universal solution. As an entrepreneur, I strongly believe in ownership. I believe entrepreneurship creates opportunity, wealth, and autonomy. But saying just start a business overlooks what business ownership actually requires. Starting a business demands startup capital, strategic planning, risk tolerance, market knowledge, operational capacity, and often financial runway. Entrepreneurship is not simply an alternative to employment. It is an entirely different risk structure. And many people who are financially stretched do not have the margin required to assume risk immediately. Also, small businesses face significant economic pressure too. As business owners, we also know that entrepreneurship is not easy money. Small businesses operate under real economic pressure. They face inflationary costs. Come on, somebody. Increased payroll obligations. Okay. Supply chain volatility. Tariffs and sourcing cost increase, shrinking consumer spending, and operational uncertainty. I think if you look back pre-pandemic and then post-pandemic, you've seen a lot of businesses close. Entrepreneurs were making good money from hair extensions, wigs, lashes. Myself, I even sold waist trainers until the cost to get the waist trainer, the cost per waist trainer no longer made it feasible for me to sell them at a profit. So during the pandemic and its aftermath, many small businesses experienced significant cost increases, me included, and margin pressure tied to supply chain disruption and import related expenses. So, while entrepreneurship can create opportunity, it is not a simplistic fix for broader wage or labor concerns. Now, this economic conversation requires nuance because my broader point is this: we can promote ownership, ambition, and entrepreneurship without oversimplifying economic realities. We can believe in personal responsibility while also acknowledging structural business and labor market realities. And we can respect sacrifice without pretending that working 3 jobs is the benchmark of a healthy economy. Because sustainable economic systems should reward hard work with opportunity, not require overextension just to maintain stability. So ask yourself, do I confuse sacrifice with sustainability? Am I oversimplifying complex economic realities? And do my views on work account for both labor and business realities? Because resilience is admirable, but sustainability matters too. And from a business and economic perspective, working 3 jobs may reflect work ethic, but it should not be the standard we aspire to. If this episode added value, share it with someone who values thoughtful conversations about business, economics, and opportunity. And if you're ready for more elevated conversations at the intersection of leadership, business, and strategy, follow on the L. Set the standard. Lead with intention. Elevate with impact. I'll see you in the next episode.